Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Capital Budget Committee meeting for January 14th. This is our first meeting of the session. We have a fairly full agenda because we have about 73 people that want to testify about the governor's capital budget.
Chair Theringer and members of the community, thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning. My name is Daria Farivar. I'm the new Public Policy Director with Disability Rights Washington. We have signed in other in the capital budget because we are appreciative of all of the housing funding allocated. We are also appreciative of the funding allocated to create 2 crisis stabilization facilities in King County as part of phase 2 of the True Blood settlement. However, we are strongly opposed to building a $612 million forensic hospital on the grounds of Western State Hospital and opposed to building a $120 million nursing facility for people with developmental disabilities on the grounds of Fircrest. First, for the forensic hospital, that hospital is not for treatment. It is only for storing defendants' legal competency so they can be sent back to jail and be prosecuted. Instead of expanding the criminal legal system, the state should invest in community-based treatment, diversion, and housing. For the nursing facility, this recommendation was created without people with direct lived experience involved and will perpetuate the years of trauma endured at Fircrest. Additionally, a 2010 report from DSHS shows that people with the highest levels of support needs can be successfully served in the community. I urge the legislature to please not spend $732 million on ineffective ways to serve people with disabilities. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Michael Raymond.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is I am Michael Raymond. I am the president of the state president of People First. I'm here to testify. Please cut the bed. Please cut the institutions. Shut them down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Jeremy Norton-Paul.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Chair Theringer and other committee members. For the record, my name is Jeremy Norton-Paul, and I'm the Executive Director of the Washington State Developmental Disabilities Council. And first, I think it's helpful to remind folks that the DD Council participated on the Ruckelshaus work group for 2 years, and we continue to be very supportive of the vast majority of the recommendations in that work group's 2019 report because they're focused on increasing opportunities for people to live their lives in the community. However, since the release of the report, we have had many conversations with our community members about the specific recommendation to build a new nursing facility. And today I would like to be clear that we do not support building a large congregate 120-bed nursing facility on the Fircrest campus in Shoreline. And while we certainly acknowledge and understand that the state of Washington has a legal obligation to provide nursing services to people who need them, it's important for us to remember that nursing is a level of care, and it's not a specific location or a specific building. Nursing care can and really should be provided in the smallest, most integrated, most person-centered setting possible. That includes places like adult family homes, supported living homes, state-operated living alternatives, or SOLAs. Unfortunately, as many of us know, there's a significant shortage of community homes, the actual physical buildings where people with disabilities can live and receive support. And one way of addressing that shortage from a capital perspective is by continuing to invest in the Housing Trust Fund, which we were pleased to see in the proposed budget. So we respectfully remind members of the long-term positive impact of making that investment, as well as the importance of ensuring that a share of that funding is dedicated for the developmental disabilities community. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you. Ivanova Smith.
Hello, Chair Representative Theringer and members of the committee. My name is Ivanova Smith. I am the chair of Self Advocates in Leadership, SAIL, and I am a self-advocate myself. I believe that we should not be putting funding in a new nursing home on Fircrest grounds. Fircrest has a long history of institutionalizing people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We deserve to live or get nursing care in our communities, either through SOLAs or through in-home care in our with our families. We should not invest money in a system that has hurt people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We want to keep our freedoms, especially when we are aging and need more nursing care. And we should get that in the community. And there are ways that we can get nursing care regionally throughout the state and not in just one place in Seattle. It should be all around the country, all around the state to get care services. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Ivanova.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Thank you for allowing me to testify today. For the record, my name is Matt Zivich with the Washington Federation of State Employees. We are here in support of the governor's capital budget, and I think that we support at least a dozen projects that are vital to our state institutions across the state. I just want to elevate three for you today. The first one is the construction of the 16-bed state-operated treatment unit at Maple Lane School. That's going to provide more capacity to do civil commitments within the state safety net. The second is the construction of a 48-bed mixed-use civil treatment unit in Clark County. 16 of those beds are going to be state-operated, and it will do its job to continue to provide mental health treatment and provide a safety net in a wider area of the state. The last one, maybe most important to us, is the construction of the 120-bed nursing facility at Faircrest. We participated in a Ruckelshaus House work group for the last couple of years, and we're one of the few that actually continue to fully support the recommendations of that work group, one of which was the building of this nursing facility. If we don't get this off the ground now, we're going to risk failure of the current Y buildings at Faircrest. So thank you for the time and opportunity to testify today, and I'd be available for questions offline if you'd like.
Thanks for your testimony. Diana Stadden and then Alex.
Good morning, Chair Theringer and members of the committee. My name is Diana Stadden. I'm the Advocacy and Policy Specialist with the ARC of Washington State, which was established in 1936 to help people with developmental disabilities. We are opposed to the 120-bed facility that's proposed to be built at Faircrest. And although there was the Ruckelshaus House work group for the last couple of years, self-advocates, people who actually live in those state institutions, were not involved in the conversation at all. We would much rather see smaller facilities around the state or homes. There were so many nursing homes that have gone out of business the last couple of years. If we need facilities, the state could easily use those, and people in Spokane wouldn't have to send their loved one who needs nursing services clear to Seattle. We also know that COVID has taught us these large facilities don't work. People with developmental disabilities are more susceptible to COVID and to death from COVID as it is, and putting them in large congregate settings is only making that worse. So it is really not a good idea to create a huge model. $120 million for 120 beds, that's $1 million a bed just to build the facility. That doesn't even count the operating costs. The last thing I want to say is that we really did like the idea of Lakeland Village starting a solar farm. It makes sense to use excess property at the RHCs, the residential rehabilitation centers, for something positive like that. And that money could go into the DD Community Land Trust with whatever extra is made from the solar farm. And we do love the Housing Trust Fund, but there was nothing put into the developmental disability set aside, which would ensure that some of that housing money went for people with developmental disabilities. Thank you for listening to my testimony.
Thank you. Alex Mottler.
Chair Freemer and members of the Capital Budget Committee, my name is Alex Mottler. I am the Policy Coordinator for Self-Advocates in Leadership, Sale. Sale is opposed to any upgrades to the institutions in Washington. We believe that the money can be better spent in the community. These institutions are abusive of the residents and aren't safe homes. Every dollar to them is a dollar which Sale is opposed to. These dollars reinforce the abusive nature of the institutions. Sale wants to repurpose these funds for people to live in the community. The exception to this is the repurposing of land on the Lakeland Village campus in Lakeland Village to a solar farm. We believe that the project is an example of how a piece of land can be made to fit to the times. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Lisa Robb, and I'm a regional ombuds with the Office of Developmental Disabilities Ombuds. Our mission is to inform the legislature's work to ensure safe, quality services and improve the lives of people with developmental disabilities. While we support some necessary capital expenditures, we do not agree with the continued investment in segregated institutional care. We believe that Washington should instead prioritize home and community-based services for people with developmental disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Eric Mathis, and I live in the 34th Legislative District in West Seattle. I do not support building new 120-bed facility on Fircrest. I believe instead we should use our state capital housing trust fund to build new community residential buildings like new state operated living alternatives or adult family homes in the community. Instead of putting the money into the nursing homes, I would like to see it put into the community residential housing. I believe people should receive nursing care in the community, not in institutions, because we were treated without respect, not good care when we were in institutions. That is unfair to so many of us. We are humans just like you, anyone else. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eric.
You bet.
John Latham.
Thank you, Chairman Behringer, and members of the committee. My name is Sean Latham from Stowaway in the 39th Legislative District, Director of Allies and Advocacy, a self-advocacy disability organization. While I generally support the capital budget overall, I don't support a few items related around the Faircrest nursing facility as well as upgrades to other residential rehabilitation centers. If you add up all the changes at the RHCs, the state would be paying between $100 to $200 million. While there are residents still at the centers, the vast majority of people with developmental disabilities, like myself, live in the community. This includes people who receive nursing-level care, like myself, in the home. Additionally, with local state-operated living alternatives being built, more people have been able to transition and live successfully in the community. I only ask this committee reconsider instead of just building segregated facilities, you instead use those millions of dollars to build more community options through the Capital Budget Housing Trust Fund that will be able to serve more individuals successfully. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.